Hey everybody, and welcome back to today's episode of Microscope, the podcast by Telescope Advisors. I am your host and the founder of Telescope Advisors, Julia Brown. Today I'm excited to share that I have a special guest with me. This is Rachel Hanson. She is my builder and an integral part of the Built to Lead organization, founded by Chet Scott. I have had the pleasure of working with Rachel for over a year now and knowing about Built to Lead and being a part of the work this organization does as a client for nearly a decade. So this is something that brings and has brought a lot of clarity and value to me in my life. And I wanted to have an opportunity to share it with the community that I serve because I believe there's a lot of benefit to mastering the art of living and leading your life in the way that you're meant to or that best suits you. So Rachel, thank you for joining today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I can't believe it's been a year, over a year.
Over a year. I know. And it was crazy because at first I had just started this company and all I knew was that I would need someone to help guide me getting started because I would have so much fear and like such little clarity on how to keep going when things got hard. Not that I was unwilling to do it, just I would be unsure of what steps to take. And so when we connected, it was really easy for me to see right away, like after one session of working together, that you would be someone who could help guide me on this path. So starting off, let me just say thank you for that.
It's been a joy. I've loved every second of it.
And like the work that you do and the work at Built to Lead is so unique and different. Can we start with giving anybody who's listening an idea of what it means to be a builder and what Built to Lead is all about?
Mm-hmm. Great question. A builder comes alongside people in their journey, builds into them by challenging them to do what they're capable of doing, by helping them get more clarity on their big dream, relentlessly hammering them to get clarity on what they believe, and then close the gap between what they believe and how they behave. Because we've all got what we call integrity gaps, the gap between how you believe, how you behave. It's just the really, really elite among us in any endeavor, in the way you put it, right? Mastering the art of living. They're just really good at hunting out those gaps and closing them over and over and over. And then by virtue of that, end up living the life that they actually want to live.
One of the things I learned early on from you is that you don't have to close every integrity gap all at once. Like they're not all weighted equally. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That was tough. That was a tough lesson for me to learn. Is that generally a tough lesson for people to learn?
For high achievers, yes. And you are a prototypical high achiever.
So, yeah, what's that mean?
You go, do. If something's on your to-do list, it needed to be crossed off yesterday. So I think a big part of the challenge for you and for most high achievers is slowing you down to help you get clarity on what is actually most important, what is actually going to give you the biggest ROI on either building your business or building the life you want, whatever it might be, slowing you down, not to make you slow. That's never the aim, but it's rather to slow you down, help you get clarity so that when you go fast again, you're going directionally in a far more productive path.
Yeah, and absolutely. I think about the example where there was an integrity gap for me that was showing up, which was like, I say I'm someone who keeps a clean home, but these kids in this job, it's really hard to keep a clean home. Or like another one, like I say I'm going to home cook every meal, but this job and these kids and the schedules and the extracurriculars, it's really hard to do right now. And so it was almost like when we had the conversation, giving permission to like recognize that different integrity gaps are going to ebb and flow over time in prioritization. Like right now, what can't fail for me is the business stability. That has to be a priority. Like intentional time with my kids has to be a priority. So if they have chicken nuggets one night a week or whatever it is, it's not the end of the world right now.
Yeah. And as you now well know from building a rapidly successful business, early stage entrepreneurship is a massive time investment. Just is. There's no way around that. So if you want what that life entails, you have to be willing to give up something while you're in that early stage of it. And I think for you, that was you were absolutely willing to figure it out. I think for you, you just had to slow down and rework the framework of like, failure doesn't mean, oh, I've neglected to do all the things. Mm-hmm. Failure means, am I clear on what the most important things are and am I doing them consistently? Or, not moving away from failure means that.
Yeah, because there are absolutely, there are some absolutes, but very, very few. And when we started working together, I operated a lot more in literal terms.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
um, I think slowing down has absolutely helped that. Slowing down has been one of the greatest lessons. And that sounds silly, right? Because anybody can say slow down, but what does it actually mean to slow down? When we talk about slowing down, what does that actually mean?
Mm-hmm. And especially in a culture which prioritizes speed, a
Hmm.
culture in a particular time where everything is speed, every moment is filled with something. The faster, the better. You know, the world wants you to go fast, fast, fast all the time. The world wants you to play in fear a lot of the time because fear creates a sense of urgency. The great life, I believe, is the opposite of much of that. It's slowing down to be intentional about what you want, to rather than running on fear, running on, well, what are the things that are drawing me towards it? What's the love that I can use as fuel rather than the fear of, you know, running out of time, running out of resources, whatever it is.
So when we look at like slowing things down, one of the things that you have taught me a lot is to slow down and write, like to
Mm-hmm.
write out what
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling. And I like to check the boxes. We said this, I'm a high achiever. So I'm like, cool, I wrote a sentence, like, here you go. But like what is really beneficial is continuing on when you feel like you did it, right? Like if you're whether you're writing or you're slowing down, like whatever the thing is, like the first moment of relief
Mm-hmm.
from doing the thing isn't necessarily where you should stop, is it?
That's right. That's right. Yeah, keep going. But I mean, I think the bigger question there is, and I'll just ask you, why do we write in the first place? What's the point? Why do I always push you to write?
To get clear.
And why does that matter? Why do we want to be clear? Clarity is good, but clarity requires what?
Ooh, you're really putting me on the spot here.
Mm-hmm.
You're directing your life when you're clear and acting in accordance with what you're clear on.
Mm-hmm. Action.
Inherently, yeah, action. Right,
That's right.
right.
That's right. Right. Writing is the absolute best tool I know of that I've ever found. That if you look across history, you know, the Stoics, pick anyone whose their writing has survived. Writing was the main tool that it seems they used to get clear and then act, or as we would say, become the biggest and best influence on themselves, right? My job is, yes, to challenge you, yes, to come alongside you, but it's not actually my job to influence you. It's my job to get you to influence yourself, because I'm not a guru. I can't give you the magic words that'll build your business, the magic words that'll, you know, create the life you want. All I can do is help you ask the right questions, challenge you to do what you can for you to get clear, and then you go build the life you want. And that's where the writing comes into play, because when you write, you slow down and you figure out, what's my own voice here versus what my builder said, what my mom said, what my friend said, what do I believe, what do I want, and then what do I want to do to go get that.
Do you think it's important for people to share their writing though? Like I'm asking this because I agree with you. Like the outside influence is not going to be as impactful long term as influencing yourself. But there are times that I'll share my writing with you and you'll ask follow-up questions
Mm-hmm.
that take me in a totally different direction than I would have gone on my own in a really positive way. Not in a leading way, but in a really positive way. So is it helpful to share your writing with someone or is it
So
helpful? Yeah.
I would say yes, but more to the point, I think is it's really helpful. We all need truth tellers, right? The most valuable feedback you're going to get comes from doing the work yourself,
Hmm.
from the writing, from the doing the work and evaluating the work, whether it's work on the business, work on the marriage, work on the family, whatever it is, doing the work is where you'll get the best feedback.
Hmm.
And the reason why athletes have coaches, the reason why anyone has a coach is because we have blind spots that we can't see ourselves.
Hmm.
And having an outsider who's invested in you, who cares about you, who takes time to get to know you, whether it's a builder, you know, a friend, whatever, but someone who will hold up that mirror and be like, hey, got it, glad you're clear, but you forgot about this whole other part here. So why don't you pay attention to that? Those are the things that help you just kind of stay ahead of the things that you would miss otherwise.
So then why do so many business people surround themselves with like sycophants and yes men?
Yeah, why do you think?
Because they think they know what's best and they want to move forward without any pushback.
That's right. I mean, human nature, which is really what I would say builders are in the business of, is we're not financial experts. We're not engineering experts. We're not name the thing. We're not experts. We're experts on human
Mhm.
behavior, which I believe is what drives most businesses towards success, towards failure, whatever it might be, right? Um, But human behavior is such that we know when we get a lot of power, when we get a lot of prestige, when we get a lot of payoff, we're going to more and more want the things that tell us, oh yeah, this is because you are awesome. This is because you're really great. And the more you hear that, the more you're in that echo chamber, the more you start to, believe your own bullshit, right? I believe the higher you go, the more imperative it is that you find people who will tell you the truth, who will tell you that actually that idea really sucks, keep you from stepping in it. That's how ultimately an Enron gets prevented, right? If you only got yes men and women around you, you will crash and burn. It's just a matter of time.
So how do you find a truth teller? Like, this is like a general question. If you were looking for truth tellers in your life, but you don't want someone who's bringing their own bias into whatever area it is, right? So like, how can you identify like what kind of people would be solid truth tellers?
Let's turn that one around again.
Yeah.
How do you who are good truth tellers to you?
You. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, so that's fine. What makes me a good truth teller to you?
You understand what matters to me and who I am and my values.
That's right. Ding, ding, ding. My aim always in any practice we have, conversation, is how do I better understand you? And my challenges don't come from how I view the world. My challenges come from how you view the world, or at least that's my aim. I'm not saying I'm always perfect at it, but I'm always trying to think about, okay, well, what do you believe? What matters to you? And how can I challenge you from within that framework now that you have clarity on it? So that starts with me being a good listener, which I think is probably the best skill set a builder can have, a really good listener. And same for anybody in your life that would have the potential to be a good truth teller. It's, do they understand me and are they willing to tell me, the truth? Some people listen but won't share the truth. It's a combination of both, which is why it's rare and why it's like freaking gold when you find it.
Yeah, there's part of this too, which is like you kind of have my roadmap, right? Like one of the things we do in Built to Lead is build out this core doc, right? So could we talk about the core doc for a minute?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so we talk about beliefs and we go through beliefs. And one of the early exercises is like, okay, like let's get some beliefs out and then let's really test our beliefs to see, is it somebody else in your head or is that you in your head, right? And so like earlier when we were talking about writing, that's just general, like, hey, here's what's going on today. It's a little overwhelming. I want to write it out. I want to get clear on it, whatever it may be. This is a belief that I have that maybe I've had for 20 or 30 years. And you're slowing me down and saying, do you actually believe that? Yeah. Is that somebody else's belief? Is that your belief?
That's right. And is it a self-limiting belief?
And is it a self-limiting belief?
Yeah.
And if it is, then what?
Right. So, right. Not all beliefs are equal, right? Like you can have beliefs that are serving you and beliefs that are not. You can have a parent that made an offhand comment in your childhood about you're too loud, you're too much. And suddenly 20 years later, you're afraid to speak up in a board meeting and you don't realize it's still that same voice saying you're too loud, you need a limit, you need to not, you'll be too much, right? So part of the work is, okay, well, what are the voices still in your head? What are the stories you're still telling yourself about who you are, what you believe, how you should operate in the world? What are they? And then are they serving you? And if they're not serving you, what do you want to do about that? Do you want to get clear on a new belief? Do you want to start behaving in alignment with that belief? It's not in a Pollyanna sense of like, well, let me just say I believe that I'm awesome and never make any mistakes, right? We still want to ground it in reality, but rather than, oh, I'm too much, well, what's a story that's equally or more true? Man, I'm passionate about the things I believe in, and when I bring that passion, I can inspire change. Okay, both those things could be true, but which one you believe and anchor to is a big difference on how you behave in the world. So how do you want to be? Who do you want to be? And what are the beliefs that drive your behaviors? That's the process of slowing down.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, because when you start to do that, for me at least, there are some beliefs that you grow into, right? Like the
aspirational beliefs.
Yes, aspirational beliefs.
Yeah.
And that can be like I believe I am becoming, or I believe it can be more fluid, but I'm too much belief, or I'm too loud belief, or whatever it is. Like I converted that quickly in our conversations into like, I believe for my people that I'm going to click with and sync with, I'm not too much. And if I'm too much for the people that aren't meant for me, then better to be myself and get that figured out quick.
That's right. So good. So now you've got some really clear, what we call preloaded, right, beliefs, where when you walk into an environment and someone, says like, hey, take it down a notch, too much, right? Now, rather than, oh, right, I forgot I'm too much, I need to be smaller. It's like, oh, that's just not my person. Got it. No big deal. You've just got a different framework through which you're interpreting the same reality.
Yeah, unless it's my truth teller and I'm like hammered drunk someplace and they're telling me to
right.
calm down.
Right.
But yeah, exactly. And I think that that's been one of the really great learnings that I've had over the last year and a half. Slow down, really figure out what you believe in and operate out of your belief system. And it has unlocked so much opportunity. A lot of my listeners on this podcast are executives within mortgage or technology, insurance. And it's been a rough couple of years. I mean, everything I think in the economy has been rough the last couple of years, but this industry has been pretty heavily hit. And it makes people act kind of unpredictably and funky. And like you had mentioned earlier, human behavior is what you're in the business of. So what about teams? Like what about working to develop whole teams of leaders or executives so that companies don't fall apart when times are hard?
Yeah. So my background originally was in college athletics. I coached college softball for 12 years. And I think part of what drew me to this work now is I really believe in the sacredness of the locker room. If you look at high performing teams in the athletics world, dynasties are teams that behind closed doors can absolutely hash it out, speak truth to each other. This goes back to the Google study around psychological safety. Psychological safety isn't, creating safe spaces where no one's feelings ever get hurt. Psychological safety is, can we freely say the things that need to be said in pursuit of performance, knowing that we're still safe in terms of our standing on the team, safe in terms of how we're perceived, right? In times of upheaval like this, when there's a lot of fear, the impulse is to retract, to play safe, to like, oh, I can't risk my job. We can't risk our standing in the marketplace. I think the teams that really come out ahead in times like these are teams who know who they are, know what they believe, and play freely within their locker room, challenge each other, innovate together. But that doesn't happen without having the framework and tools to practice those hard conversations, right? Practice that way of being together, which is what when we have team practices, that's really what it is. It's an interesting reversal. If you think about athletics, most of the time you practice 1 to 2 days a week, you play. In business, it's the reverse. We play games essentially every day. And rarely, if ever, do we stop for practice. A BTL team practice is exactly that. It's like, okay, let's slow down. Let's actually practice the skills we need together as a team to perform consistently at a high level.
I was a part of BTL team practices with Chet for a long time when I was at Lower. And during that window of time, I got to know people on a much deeper personal level that I worked with in business. And we shared elements of our core, our passions, our principles, our beliefs. And some of them were tested openly, right? Like, oh, you say you care about other people and you just treated this person like trash in an email that reports to me 20 minutes ago and they're still in the bathroom crying. Like moments like that.
Yeah. They're the money moments in team practice.
But it's like the fact that you are vulnerable enough in that environment to be asked to share your thoughts on all these different elements of like human psychology and behavior and fear, like to be open with your fears. There's so much more between us that is common ground, I think, than we would give ourselves credit for a lot of times in business. Oh, how's the weather? It's raining. How's it there? Raining. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
In those moments, you're right. Like that leads to being able to have that open locker room talk, to be able to be a truth teller.
The currency we're talking about is trust, right? Do we have enough trust built that we can have those hard conversations? Or absent even having had them, maybe a decision needed to be made on the fly that impacts me and my team. Do I have enough trust that I can, not retaliate, not retract, not whatever it is? Instead, I can go have a conversation. I can connect again and say, what was that all about? Why did you make this decision? Trust is a skill that takes real effort to build. And if you don't have it, it's a big tax on the system. Wherever there's distrust in the system, it's a tax on efficiency, a tax on time, a tax on, just the overall lubrication of the system is heavily taxed when there's distrust. Another way we would put it is a lack of oneness, right? When we're all pulling in separate directions, all of us can think of a time where we had that on a team, sports team, business team, marriage, whatever, where you're pulling in different directions, and it's a drain on all of your resources, energy, time, engagement, whatever it might be. And the reverse is true. When you're all pulling in the same direction, when there's a feeling of oneness, when we're all on the same team, after the same goal, doesn't mean without conflict, but that we know we're pulling in the same direction, there's a huge energy lift. But that the currency is trust, and that has to be built.
Is there like a, I don't want to say age group, but like maturity level that has to be achieved for Built to Lead to actually work? Like whether in a group or individual, like how do you know if it's going to be successful for an individual or for a group of people?
Well, I would say, first of all, no, there's no age. I've worked with college athletics teams doing this work. So there's no necessarily age. People ask me pretty frequently, how do you know if someone will be successful, or how will you know if I'm going to be successful doing this? My answer is always the same. There's a direct 1-to-1 ratio of the people willing to do the hard work. And that's a bit vague, I get that. But if you are willing to, I tell clients, jokingly but not jokingly, I try to scare them off before they ever start, because I want to know on the front end, are you actually going to sit down and do the hard work of slowing down, looking inside, seeing where you're the problem? You think your team is the problem, you have an issue with your team, you are the problem, because you've either created the conditions or you've turned your eye away at the conditions. Either one of those, you either created or rewarded the system that you have, and that's on you as the leader. And if you're not willing to slow down and have those hard conversations with yourself about your own operating system, your own beliefs that are driving your behaviors, if you're not willing to slow down and write, then it's not going to go anywhere. It would be a waste of your time and money. If you're willing to do that, I've yet to see someone not grow their whatever their thing is, production, whatever, far in excess of industry norms. Mm-hmm. But it's, again, a 1-to-1 ratio of if you're going to do the hard work or not.
Yeah, and like you said, it's a little ambiguous, like it's a little vague in the phrasing of hard, but we're all different. So what's hard for one person and another will be different.
That's right. Whatever the hard thing is you have is going to be different from someone else, some other team. Mm-hmm. And it's at the same time, it's always the same. It's always the self-limiting beliefs, the team being able to practice building trust. Like the things that are hard are always hard. The particularities of that are obviously very different.
Yeah. And what about like one of the things we've talked about before is how you handle things like that are recurring. So like if you have a self-limiting belief pop up, even if you've got a new belief, that doesn't mean that old one doesn't still pop up sometimes. We've talked about integrity gaps and closing those gaps, but how do you catch it quicker in the moment when a self-limiting belief pops up?
How do you catch it quicker in the moment? You've been doing this work a while now.
I feel like it's pattern recognition, right? Like you've been writing about it, had a focus on it, and so you start to recognize the pattern sooner. And then when it happens, it's like, oh shit, there it is. Like that self-limiting belief that I had. Mm-hmm. Is this real? Is it not real?
That's right. And I would put that in the bucket of skill development, right? How do you become great at anything? First, be really comfortable with sucking at it, right? So if I've got this old self-limiting belief, let's go back to the other one we used, I'm too much. So we're trying to practice this, man, I believe that I'm exactly enough for the challenges I have, or something like that, right? All right, well, I might theoretically believe this, but experientially I've been believing this for a long time. So believing this, I'm going to suck at believing this for a while. I'm not going to be good at it, but I'm going to practice it anyway. I'm going to practice behaving in alignment with this belief, even though in moments of fear, I might not feel that way. So if someone tells me I'm too much, I'm going to stay in the room, even if all of my ingrained reaction is to run away, right? But I'm going to choose, even though I haven't changed my feelings, I'm going to choose behaviorally to live in alignment with this one, not this one, right? All right, so then we get a little bit better at it over time. There's an arc to that, right? Eventually, okay, we're consistently behaving in alignment with this one. We're living it out, we believe it. And remember, you've spent 3/4 of your life believing this old one at that point. It's not going to just go away. It will raise its head again at some point. Then the question is just, okay, to your point, can I just time out? Okay, this is popping its head up again. Let me go back to the beliefs that anchored me in the first place that I want to, take another stab at practicing because I'm kind of falling out of alignment. The best way to do that is engage with the core you've built, right? So our core, which we talked about earlier, your beliefs, identity, etc. You've got your document, right? It can either sit in your back pocket and never look at it, or you can actually pull it out and say, what do I believe? Not just in a moment of crisis, but consistently. So then when something pops up that's a self-limiting belief, oh yeah, I did do that this week and I actually believe this thing. So before I get squirrely on that old belief, I'm just going to go start behaving in alignment with what I've written down is my belief system.
And that written belief system and operating in accordance with your written belief system, not having many integrity gaps. That's your character, right?
That's right. Yeah. Yes. So, knowing what you believe is different from behaving consistently that way, right? Character is actually doing consistently, living out consistently who you say you are. Does that make sense?
It does.
So reputation, we've talked about this one before. Reputation is focusing on what other people think of me. That's kind of the default human behavior. Building a stronger core, or as the ancients would have put it, building virtue, is operating in alignment with who I say I am, right? Paying attention to my identity. And then actually living that out is character.
And my corporate trained brain is what percentage of time do I need to be acting in accordance with my beliefs to have strong character? I've broken this habit, but I think a lot of my listeners will probably feel the same way. Okay, cool. They're taking notes. What percentage of the time do I need to be doing that for it to count?
Yeah. I mean, the reality is there's no specific percentage, right? It's
I know.
Forever. We talk about mastery in this a lot. We're on the path of mastery, mastering self, mastering the art of living, mastering being a business owner, mastering business development. All of this is on an arc. So you never arrive. Right? There's never okay, I'm at 99.9%. Tomorrow I cross over into 100%.
And then I'm done.
Arc is right. And then I'm done. And then I get the stamp and I never have to think about it again. The reality is the path of mastery is one that you're on forever, which to me is really exciting. There's always more room to improve.
Yeah. I think so too. It reminds me of this Haitian proverb, which is behind the mountains, more mountains, right? We're never done. There's always something.
Yeah.
I remember being younger and thinking if I could just pay my mortgage off early and then live in the same house until I die, I'd be great. Right?
Done.
Yeah. That would have been great. It's not how life goes. And you've taught me a lot too, or working together, I've learned a lot too about human nature is a little messy. There's going to be messes in life.
Yeah. This is also true.
But I have really enjoyed every interaction that I've had, not just with you, but the whole Build to Lead team. A woman on the team named Kitty Allen, and she leads
Great.
Bible study. Yeah, she leads a female entrepreneurial Bible study here in Columbus that I'm a part of. And so that's got a different flavor to it because she's a different person, but still these same elements of the teachings of Build to Lead run through consistently. And it's just been such a blessing in my life. And I'm so excited for the opportunity to share this with the community on the Microscope podcast. So thank you for coming in today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was really fun.
Yeah. If people want to get in touch with you, if they want a little taste test of what you're all about, or someone on your team is about, is there a good way to reach out?
Yeah, they can go to buildtolead.com or they can email me, Rachel@buildtolead.com. Either way is great, and take it from there.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you for being guest today on our podcast, Rachel, and thank you to all of our listeners for tuning in today. And if you like what you heard, please check out buildtolead.com or email Rachel@buildtolead.com.